Live from Martinsville Speedway, we are back with next round, the seventh round of the ANZCAR Truck Series after a week away last week, I believe. Coming back into this series, we've got 17 trucks out there tonight. A little bit of a smaller field on a smaller track. Nothing scares an oval sim racer quite like the prospect of having to brake and steer. So a little bit of a smaller one out there tonight, but it's a good quality field, which is what we've got out there. It is a balmy 28 degrees out there on the track. Nice warm evening here at Martinsville Speedway. I'm Edward Foster. You probably guessed that these aren't the tones of Mr. Carl Wilkinson Withy, who has come down with an awful case of throatitis, or so he tells me, and he's just going to be operating the cameras tonight. But I am joined by regular commentator, Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, what are we looking forward to tonight, mate?
Plenty of action for one. As you said, Ed, even with the smaller field, we've got some of the best drivers in Australia and New Zealand out here tonight. I see Barry Neal's out there again, Jason Martin, Ruben Phelps. So there's going to be some fireworks there at the front because Jason Martin has had some great results the last couple of weeks, and then some not so good too. We've seen him involved in a few little incidents, but it should be a great race, as you said. Turning left and braking, not something you like to do here at the Paperclip.
Yeah, there's three keys to the race tonight, and that is don't outbrake yourself, and don't outbrake yourself. Because if you outbrake yourself by only a couple of meters, a meter even, you're just one of these stock cars, you are not bringing that thing back. You're going to spin around or skill the poor guy in front of you. So big thing to keep in mind for everybody there. We often see the road course races come to the fore here. Braking technique, very, very important here. We see guys who are really good in the road cars also run really, really well here at Martinsville. We've got Christopher Island out there. We don't see too much of him usually, but he's out there tonight. I believe he's a bit of a road course specialist, so he might see some fireworks out of him tonight. We might just take a moment to run through the grid. They are lining up on the grid at the moment, and I believe for the first time, pole position, Nick Bottrell. They're from Valve Esports, sitting there on inside row one. Then we've got Jason Martin, second in the championship at the moment by only a couple of points. He's looking for a good result tonight. He's going to start on the outside of row one. Then we've got the two DPR boys, Ryan Jones and Chris Ireland, as mentioned, sitting in there row two. Then row three, championship leader Lachlan Urquijo, sitting there in P5. He's going to want to paint a big target on the back of that purple 21 in front and try and get around that to extend his championship lead. Then we've got Barry Neal. He's starting off the pit lane. He's supposed to be starting outside row six, but he's elected to take a pit lane start. Then we've got the second Valve Esports truck of Scott Lefevre. He's in there, P7. Then the debutant, Tom Williams, only a new joiner to the league in the 55. And then we're looking at the old stager, Norman Clark, the wily old fox. He's out there. He's on at row 5 alongside third in the championship, Riley Curtis. Then we've got Shane Bowen. I expected him to be a little bit higher. He's been knocking on the door of a win for a few weeks. Then we've got Aidan Schultz, Ben Henniker, Nigel Payton, Wesley Closey, Ruben Phelps, and Sandman Stephen Clark bringing up the rear.
Yeah, some good results there for the Valve Esports guys. Both these guys are rookies to oval this year, and Bottrell's been showing some good speed, and he just hasn't been able to put it together in the race. But lights are out on the pace car, so we will be going green this time by Ed.
Yeah, it's going to be Bottrell's first time in ANZCAR having the opportunity to lead away a restart, or a start, I should say. And haven't they been controversial in real life in the last few days? So let's see as he comes through to the restart zone here. He's going to put his foot down the second we go green, and off they go. Nice clean start, holding 2 by 2 as they cross the line. As per the rules, you're not allowed to change lanes before you cross that line. Bottrell to the inside. Martin washes up out of the groove. That's one thing that you don't want to see. You don't want, as a driver here, to wash up out of that little concrete bottom section that you've got there on the track, and Martin just washed out there. He has been able to recover though, and Bottrell showing a clean pair of heels to Martin at the minute. Urquijo, he's sitting there in P5. He really wants to get forward, but he's got those 2 DPR trucks ahead of him. A little bit further back, we've got Scott Lefebvre and Riley Curtis sitting there side by side, 2 by 2, as are Aidan Schultz and Norman Clark, and even the row behind them, which is Shane Bowen and Ben Henneke.
Yeah, Ruben Phelps has found himself back into a single file now, coming through turns 3 and 4. So good job there by Ruben to get back into single line. And by the look of it now, Ed, they are all single file right throughout the field.
Well, that's what you want to do. That's definitely what you want to do in these early stages. Just find yourself that real estate to work in. You don't want to be running side by side with someone for too long, because it slows you down and you're going to see the people in front of you just driving away. And speaking of seeing people up in front of you, Nick Bottrell already is going to be able to see that 96 truck of Stephen Clark up there in front. He's dropped a long way down. I'm not sure if he actually started from the pits or not, but he's the best part of a lap down already.
I can confirm, Ed, that he did start from pit lane. So
well, that explains it. That explains it. Barry Neal as well. Probably a little bit further up the track than Stephen Clark at the moment, but he's going to be wanting to make some inroads there. But we haven't seen too much. A lot of the time people start from the pit lane because they're expecting a little bit of carnage, but it's been very, very clean so far. We can see that Martin has actually he's made back what he lost on Bottrell there, and he's starting to work away. But we talked about Chris Ireland at the start of this one, didn't we? That we're expecting a good show out of him. Caution out. So just having a look, and it looks like that is Aidan Schultz that's actually gone around. So we might just go back and try and have a little bit of a look at that. And Norman Clark's just gone up his inside. Has he taken a touch? Yeah, he did. He took a touch from the truck behind. That is one of the Cobalt cars, and that was Shane Bowen just getting a little bit of contact there with Aidan Schultz, just coming off the exit of the turn. Of course, you want to get on the throttle as early as you possibly can, and unfortunately that's resulted in Aidan getting turned around there. So first caution of the night.
And Bottrell there just trying to play a little bit of the game, mind game. Faded to go into pit lane and then pulled it back out, trying to get someone to go down the pit lane and ease a little bit of pressure off the rear of that truck, Ed.
Yeah, someone's taught him all the tricks, haven't they? That's a trick that you normally see from someone who's been around a little bit longer. But yeah, he certainly knows all the tricks. He's fading to the inside, and Jason Martin's going to be sitting there going, dude, I invented that move. Don't you be doing that move to me. I invented that. So, yeah, Martin, of course, always real pain to be behind when under caution, because he'll often faint towards the pits there and just kind of put that little doubt in your mind as Bottrell has a look again, just tries to get one of the guys behind to drop in, but I don't think anyone is going to be falling for that, especially not this early on.
Definitely not. Not even 10 laps into the race. I guess the only thing you'd do is to duck in and take some fuel if you were going to go down pit lane for a little visit.
Yeah, speaking of which, I think Riley Curtis has actually ducked in. So he's doing exactly what you just said there, Mark, and ducking into the pits. I'm just going to have a look to see if he takes tyres. I can't imagine that he will. And it looks like just fuel. Yep, just fuel. And he's going to rejoin at the back of the pack, but all fueled up.
So, Ed, we've seen in the past that these trucks get really light once the fuel load gets down. Is there more likely of a chance here for the trucks to get real taily towards the end of the fuel load once you get a bit of wear on these tyres here?
I don't think so. I don't think that it's any worse than any other track. Always getting on the power is a little bit difficult, especially here. You know, they're geared that short that they can spin up the tyres quite easily. It's more of a tyre wear issue than a fuel load issue. But anyway, the lights on the pace car are out. Bottrell is going to be the control car. The second that pace car ducks on off, there it goes. And now he's going to be trying to get the best jump possible in the restart zone, of course. And Ireland is going to be looking to slot up the inside of Martin there as well. So let's take a look. There's a big disadvantage starting front row outside here. Let's see what kind of start Bottrell gets. He gets away well. Is Martin going to be able to get down, cover off Island? No, he's not. Island's got his nose in at the bottom there, and Martin holds it high and wide right around the outside, trying to get a good run off the turn and beat Island down there. He hasn't managed to clear him though. Now Martin's stuck on the outside. He's still trying though to make the best fist of it he can, as we're 3 wide back behind, a few rows back, and we've got one in the fence. I'm not sure of who that was, but I think he's going to be able to recover that. Bottrell, Island, now Ryan Jones, Jason Martin way out of the groove, and that's promoted Urquijo up ahead of his championship rival. He will be grinning ear to ear with that, but Martin at the moment is sitting right out there on the outside. You can't make a lot work from there, and he is going to be desperate to get back down into line, but he just can't find a space at the moment. Everyone's nose to tail, and of course nobody is going to give him a break.
Yeah, definitely. That was Wesley closely that you've seen in the background get into the wall, and he's dropped right to the rear of the field. Doesn't look like too much damage on that truck though, Ed. A little bit of damage on that right front, so I'll keep an eye on that foot while we concentrate up the front.
Okay, and just while all that was going on for Martin, we've seen Bottrell just clear out to a little bit of a lead, and we also saw Ryan Jones move past Chris Island, his teammate, and slot there into second place. So I think Island just willing to play the long game, and Ryan saying, let me at him, as Island gets a little bit of a snatch under brakes. He's moved up the track now, and that's going to allow Urquijo down underneath him, and the 55, Tom Williams, the rookie, he's going to be going down underneath as well. He's looking for that little gap. Urquijo gives a little bit of a hip and shoulder. Will he clear Island? Yes, he does. And then we can see Williams down the inside of Island as well. And now Chris Island has got exactly the problem that Jason Martin had before, and that is he just can't find a space in line, although he seems to have got one now just ahead of Ruben Phelps. Ruben sends it in underneath. Gives Island no choice but to jink up the track just to avoid getting hit. Let's see if he has another outbreaking. No, decides he's just going to slot in there, call off those tyres. So Island's found his place back in line, all the way down to 5th place. Urquijo up to 3rd. Ryan Jones up to 2nd, and Tom Williams, we mentioned it before, a rookie, as Island gets underneath him. I was just about to say he's up to 4th, but Island's got underneath him, giving him a little bit of a shove wide. This is great short track stuff, as Ruben Phelps goes to look underneath Island as well. This time it's Williams, the 55, right out there, and we've got another caution on the track. Oh, and there's a bit of a melee there behind. It looks like Stephen Clark involved, potentially Wesley Closey as well. I think it may have originated with Clark. Indeed, it did. And what did we say before? Do not outbrake yourself. And that's exactly what's happened there. He has outbraked himself, looped the back of that Valvoline 96 right there around. And everybody did an excellent job to take avoiding action there. Barry Neal, Wesley Closey especially, managing to get around that spun 96 that was parked just so conveniently across the track there.
It's definitely not something you want to see coming out of the turn or in mid-turn. Ed, a bit of an underwear situation there.
Yeah, we got a few coming down pit road as well, so we'll just touch on that again in a moment. But we've got Ben Henniker, Riley Curtis coming down again, Barry Neal, Stephen Clark and Wesley Closey, and they are all coming down pit road. Now, we didn't see any of the trucks get damaged in that particular incident, so I think these guys are sort of thinking, you know what, we're at the back of the field anyway, let's top her off with fuel and see what happens later on, because if we get a long green flag run, they can run a little bit longer than everybody else. They could potentially put the rest of the field laps down if they have to pit under green. So a bit of a strategic move for those guys. Although just having a look at Closey, he hasn't moved, so everybody else has taken service and out, and I think Closey is still in the lane, and he's about to go a lap down.
Yeah, I think he that damage from touching the wall earlier on lap 8, I think it may have given him a little bit more damage than what we could see on the camera. So we'll definitely keep an eye on him and see how long he stays in pit lane for.
Yeah, it was a decent hit. I'm not surprised that if it's not potentially steering out of alignment or something, and driving around here with a bent steering is absolutely no fun whatsoever. So don't blame him for getting that done. Of course, Lucky Dog's available if another caution comes out, so he may well have the opportunity to get those laps back. Everybody else, 16 to 17 cars, all running on the lead lap still at the moment. And it looks like this time across the line we are going to go one to go. The lights on the pace car are going to go out. Indeed they do. and they're going to be forming up 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. This time, for the first time, Ryan Jones is going to be letting go off the outside front row. Aquijo there in third, but Nick Bottrell, he's there at the front wondering what all the fuss is about. He's led from start to current, I guess we should say.
Closely back out on track.
Okay, well, he's going to want to get a bit of a wriggle on to catch the back of the pack because it is under the control of Nick Bottrell at the moment. He is going to get in the restart zone. He is going to get ready to go. And Aquijo is going to be looking again, as we saw before, to make third place into second place. Green flag, off they go. Aquijo not away particularly well, and Ryan Jones slotting right down in front of the 42. And poor old Chris Island has been hung out on the outside again. He's really going to be wanting to find a slot to get into and hold on to that fourth place. Ruben Phelps sends it right down underneath him again, leaving him no choice but to try to drive around the outside of the 42. He gets there, and that means the 42 can't run out to the wall the way he likes. And Chris Island making a great fist of it around there on the outside, door to door for third place at the moment. The championship leader versus the what do they call him? The Johnny Come Lately. Just jumped in for this race. Hopefully we'll see him there for quite a few more. But those two going side by side for P3 at the moment. Island getting really good runs off the turn, getting that truck turned in really, really nicely. But Aquijo doing a sterling job just holding him out there on the bottom.
Lockie, last couple of races, Ruben gets a little bit tail happy there as
very much
comes
so.
out.
Yeah, very much so there. Now he's got Tom Williams to deal with on his outside. Oh, he's locked the rears again. It looks as though Phelps might be running his brake bias a fair way back, and that's something that a few of the guys do just to help get the truck rotated. I generally find personally it does more harm than good, but Martin off the wall as well. He just got a big push coming out of turn 2 there, right up into that outside wall, and a bit of a knock for him. I don't think it was as bad as Closey's one, but it's going to be enough to annoy him, I think, that one. And Island and Aquijo, they have not sorted this out yet. They're still battling over third place, and I'm a little bit surprised that they're sort of keeping pace with Ryan Jones, who of course has got the entire track to work with. Whether or not Ryan's just looking after those boots at the moment and just going, okay, Bottrell, you push hard now and I'll come back and get you later on. Oh, Island right out of the groove. He was right on the braking limit there. And you could see as he got on the brakes, he was sort of straggling the edge of that concrete sort of apex area there that you see down on the inside of the turns. And there's a variation in banking there. And that has sent him right out and up the track. And he's lost a lot of time. But fortunately for him, no places.
That's definitely given Lachlan a nice easy run into third place. I was just going to say before, Ed, we've seen Lockie really take to that low line, as we call them, the bottom feeders, but he's been able to make that low line really work. And I know that sometimes it really hurts that tyre, that right front, when you're getting in there and getting the car or the truck leaning over on that right and trying to hold it down with the little bit of a push through the turn mid corner.
At some tracks, but I think at Martinsville, the bottom groove is the place you want to be. It's generally more surprising if somebody tries to do something other than run that bottom groove. And we got the caution, yellow flags out. Who are we looking at this time? We're looking for a truck face the wrong way, and there are a couple of them. It looks as though Wesley Closey is around. Aiden Schultz involved again. So it looks like there's a few guys just having a bit of a rough trot at the moment. I'm not sure where that originated. I think it might have originated with Aiden, and he's broken that golden rule. He is, and Wesley Closey slowing down for that and just gets absolutely packed in the tailgate by the car behind, who I believe was Ben Henneke. So Aiden Schultz, he's outbraked himself, looped himself around. Norman Clark has checked up, Closey has checked up, and Henneke has not, right up until the point that he's just gone straight into the back of that 75, spun him out, and Nigel Patton's got involved in that as well. So a few guys there recovering, a few guys doing it a little bit tough at the back of the field there. Aiden Schultz looks as though he's potentially taken that truck behind the wall as well. But yeah, we are seeing absolute classic short track racing here tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely are. And Aiden's had a little bit of a hiatus away from the sim. So it's only his second race back. So coming back onto a little short track isn't always the easiest thing. It takes a little bit of time, and you just see there Nigel just nowhere to go, running that mid track and coming around the mid turn and finding a truck parked across the raceway.
Yeah, if you're out of practice, this is a horrible place to come. There's a few tracks that generally, any time that I'm going to race them, I always put in a little bit of practice before, and this is certainly one, because you really need to get your eye in around here. And if you don't have the opportunity to practice properly before running here, or if you're a bit out of practice, you've been out of the seat for a while, it's a really, really tough place to come and drive. So, anywho, just having a look here, Stephen Sandman Clark there, he's saying, I've used 2 sets of my tyres already. That's not good news because you only get 3 changes for the race. So that's made it a little bit rough. He's got a long way to go on not very much rubber. So, yeah, that's not going to be great for him. I'm sure he can manage it, but he's going to need to be a little bit more, little bit circumspect for the rest of the race because there's still quite a distance to go. I think we're going to see probably this time the lights on the pace car go out. No, we've got another lap, so we can keep rabbiting on. But, yeah. Wesley Closey back out there on the track as well. So he is currently 1 lap down. He's not going to get the lucky dog this time, I don't believe. In fact, no, he would because he was 2 laps down before, wasn't he? And now he's got 1 back. So that's good news for him.
Tell you what, Ed, I don't think I would like to be doing 163 laps around here with just 2 sets of tyres left. The set that you've got on and one more.
Mate. You could have one.
Well, true.
Yeah, there's worse things, but yeah, he's going to have to just drive that truck nice and smooth, not get involved in too many fights. It can definitely be done, and if we go green from here to the end, it's really not going to present him too much of an issue, I don't think, because I think most guys will pit once before the end. But if we get a few cautions and people are ducking in and using their tyres, he's going to be at a disadvantage. So we're 2 by 2 now anyway. The lights on the pace car have gone out. They're going to be forming up in 2 neat columns, at least that's the idea. And Nick Bottrell's he's getting plenty of restart practice tonight, isn't he? He's going to have another opportunity to try and get a jump on that truck on the outside of the 11, Ryan Jones. And Urquijo, he's going to try and stick one underneath and take second place for himself. He doesn't need to take too many risks though. He's ahead of his championship rivals, but we are green. Bottrell shoots away really well this time, and Urquijo has got a nice little chunk of overlap underneath Jones. Can he get on the throttle early enough to actually make that pay as he sits there on the inside? And he's actually just dropped out. Urquijo has dropped out. I can't see him on the screen anymore. There he is. He's popped back into existence. That was an absolute horrible flash. He's jumped back in right in front of Chris Island. I'm guessing he couldn't see anybody else either because he's been off the throttle. He's dropped only 1 spot, and he's very, very lucky there. He'll be hoping that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, the battle there now for 4th place is heating up between Williams and Island. But we've also got the second of RV sports car tuning in to this battle.
Yeah, Lefebvre, he's come up a little way, hasn't he? In fact, no, he's about where he started, but he's putting a fair amount of pressure there on Williams. And we've still got Jason Martin and Riley Curtis side by side behind. And then there's Mr. No Rubber, Stephen Clark, right behind. Although Ryan Jones putting a lot of pressure. We saw him just hanging back a little bit before, didn't we? He's got some fresher boots on there now because Urquijo, he's dropped out again and he's forced to head for the pit lane. This is big for the championship. So Urquijo rolling down the pit lane. He's having major technical issues there, and it's going to be left to Bottrell and Ryan Jones. We won't focus on that too much at the moment. We can discuss the championship later because we have a battle for the lead, and there's a big hornet's nest going on in the middle of the pack as well. Ruben Phelps. Oh, Sandman Clark, he looks like he's gone around again. Are we going to have a caution? We may have a caution. No, it looks like they're going to resolve that under green, but Clark having a really rough night out there. Shane Bowen involved in that as well. They've got going, but they're going to be nearly a lap down. They're going to be coming under pressure from these 2 leaders who are fighting away, and Urquijo's taken that truck behind the wall. He's going to play no further part tonight as Bottrell gets out a little bit wide. Jones is looking underneath. Jones looking a little bit stronger under brakes and on the throttle at the moment, but he seems to be also just be gaining a little bit on the mid-turn. Just appears that he's got more grip all round. He's able to drive off those turns a lot better. Taking a look to the inside, gives Bottrell a little bump, that is short track racing here. That is how you overtake at Martinsville. It often offends our road racing sensibilities over here, seeing so much contact. But, you know, people get all indignant over the bump and run. But no, that is the way that you overtake at Martinsville. You come up behind a guy, and if he's holding a proper line, you give him a big old shot in the rear, knock him out the way. Don't spin him out. You can't do that, but you can give him a big bump out the way, get underneath him, and take the lead for yourself. And that is exactly what Ryan Jones is going to be looking to do here.
Yeah, we've seen Ryan Jones in the past. He has one type of driving in him, and that's aggressive or aggressive. So it's good fun when you're out there racing with him, and you give and get, and have a great race with him.
Yeah, normally my races are quite short whenever I find myself around Ryan, but that's another story. We joke about it these days a fair bit, but yeah, it's certainly had our moments. But we'll focus on what's going on in front of us right now, and it is 225 leading 11, leading 623, leading 55. Tom Williams, the rookie, doing a great job up there in fourth, ahead of Scott Lefebvre and Jason Martin. That's your top six. Then we've got Ruben Phelps in there behind Jason Martin. He's pushing really, really hard there. And Riley Curtis, he's just a couple of car lengths behind. It looks as though Ruben Phelps is having a good old dig at Martin here at the moment. He might have a little bit more pace in the pocket. And just up the front, it appears as though that gap has sort of stabilised to around about 1 to 2 car lengths. Bruck lengths, I should say. And I'm just noticing that there are two different... Amongst the two, Ryan Jones gets a really big slide. You can see how greedy he's being on that throttle, trying to really take advantage of that drive off. But just on the entry of the corner, if you look at the way that Bottrell's entering the corner versus Ryan Jones, as Jason Martin lets Ruben Phelps past, it does appear as though Bottrell a lot of the time is taking a bit of a wider turn in than Ryan. Now, I've always sort of found that the narrower turn in, probably narrower than you think from the cockpit is the best way to get around here, but it doesn't work for everybody, and everybody's got their own style, and that's the great thing about these type of tracks is you really get to take a look at the style. Ryan Jones falls right out of the groove there. He's outbraked himself, pushing a little bit too hard there, trying to make that gap, and now he's coming under threat from his DPR stablemate, Chris Ireland, who's doing a great job out there tonight running in P3.
Yeah, I've just been watching, as you said, Ed. He seems to be using the old Speedway diamond effect. Up high, come back down, drift back out wide, and then turn in from a wide spot again. And Jones, we've seen there, just using the more conventional racing lines. So it looks like Bottrell's just been able to ease those tyres back on and get that gap where Ryan Jones has had to push that a little bit harder.
Yeah, we talked earlier on, didn't we, about how much more entry, middle, exit speed Ryan Jones was carrying through the turn than Nick Bottrell was, but it looks as though that's actually come at a cost for him. He had that big slide, didn't he, and he just got out of the groove, and that's exactly what happened to his teammate earlier on. So we've got those two DPR guys. They're probably not going to fight each other too hard, I would imagine. They're not going to want to do anything that's going to jeopardise the race of the other one. Of course, Ryan Jones a lot more regular in these parts of sim racing than Ireland is, so potentially running for some points here as well. I'm not sure of his exact point standing at the moment, but they've also got Williams and Phelps just sort of sitting there in a duo as well. They're going to be looking to close that gap, and looks as though Ruben Phelps got a really good exit there coming off of turn 4. He's going to get underneath Tom Williams, and Williams not fighting that too much at this stage of the race. We're not that far through, still plenty of laps to go, and Williams is not wanting to end up in an argument over 4th place at the moment. He'll be like, Ruben, I'll see you a little bit later on.
Yeah, definitely. And we see there just behind.
Bottrell's gone around. Our leader, Nick Bottrell, has spun out. He's led the entire race from pole position so far, and he's going to be absolutely filthy with that. And I'm just going to go back and have a look, and yep, it is the old classic Martinsville mistake, just driving in that little bit too deep. And people don't realise, people who don't drive stock cars or don't drive around Martinsville, they don't understand this. All you have to do is be a foot, a metre too late on those brakes, and keep in mind that as your tyres wear, you need to adjust that braking point all the time. And if you are just a smidgen over, there is nothing you can do to save the back end of that car. It is coming around. It is just the way these stock cars are. They do not forgive you in that situation, and that has bitten Bottrell hard. He's all the way down in P9, and everyone coming to pit road.
The only ones that have stayed out are Closely and Clark. So everyone else is in. Ed, as you said, a lot of them are taking tyres. Definitely everyone will take a full tank of fuel here.
Yeah, everyone will be filling up, taking a fresh set of tyres. Ryan Jones came out first. He's going to lead. He's actually had a really good stop there because nobody has come out anywhere near him. So he's had a cracker stop to get back out there. It's not going to matter much at the end of the day, being under caution. Everyone's going to catch him anyway, but certainly good for the virtual crew to get him out that early. And Stephen Clark, Sandman, he's sitting up there in the lead at the moment. He's been in the wars a little bit. He's been on a little bit of a alternate strategy, and that's coming to the fore now. So he's going to be out there. He doesn't really have the option to change the tyres, so he is out there on some older tyres. And yeah, he's going to be leading a whole bunch of angry, fresh-tyred trucks in there behind him.
Yeah, I'll just start looking at the tyre wear. He's now on 42 lap old tyres, so very, very unfortunate for him. And Wesley Closely also has got a very old set of boots on. So everyone else is on fresh rubber. So I expect to see those guys drop fairly quick, Ed.
Yeah. Clark's especially, as we mentioned before, he's got to play the long game here. He's already on the radio to the other drivers, just sort of telling him, what he's planning to do, because there's going to be a really big speed disparity between him and the other guys. However, he's much better starting up there. This is such a short track. If you're starting at the back of the field where he would have been if he'd come in for just fuel, he would have been that much closer to getting lapped. So at least everybody has to work their way around him, and he's not going to fall a lap down quite so quickly. And if he can hold these guys up, make them heat their tyres, wear their tyres a little bit, then potentially he can sort of bring the field back to him a little bit. But it's going to be very hard for him.
Forming up in the rows of two, and it won't be long before we see the lights take effect here tonight, Ed.
Yeah, it's getting dim out there. It is an evening race, and we're going into night time now, so the lights on around Martinsville Speedway. It's still a little warm out there comparatively. We've still got a 28-degree track, although the air temperature is cooling down. Only 25 now, but it is a clear night, so that heat's going to dissipate quickly. But here we are. For the first time, somebody not called Nick Bottrell is going to lead them away, and it's Stephen Sandman Clark on his old boots. You see the back of that truck moving around as he struggles to get the power down. Ryan Jones going to be running around the outside there. You'd almost back him to take this off around the outside. Indeed, he does. And Jason Martin, how did he get back up there? He was a good way back. I'm not sure if maybe he only took 2 tyres, or certainly had a very good stop, but he's out there battling with those DPR cars right there up the front.
Yeah, Clark's done the right thing. Well, it may be the right thing, but he's just pulled to the inside of down the back straight and let the whole field go past. So he's now back down in the 15th position. So it's going to be a very, very long night for Clark in that Valvoline Chevrolet.
Well, he's done the courteous thing. I'm not sure if it's necessarily the right thing, because, I mean, if he was going to drop to the back of the field anyway, why not come down and take fuel?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't really understand that myself. But anyway, he's done what he's done. He's decided to be nice to everybody, and he is a nice guy, Sandman. We know that. So, yeah, definitely not wanting to get in the way of anybody else. But, yeah, I'm not sure I would have done the same, but that's just me. But anyway, we've got Ryan Jones and Chris Ireland, the DPR duo, out there at the front now. And Jason Martin, he's made a good recovery, hasn't he? Back up there into 3rd position. And he's going to start working away on the back of that 623. At least he's going to try to. He knows the point situation, and with Aquijo out of this race, he needs to really bring home a big one tonight to get the bigger points cushion as he can possibly get.
Yeah, definitely, and good as we said, the rookie Williams out there having a great run in P4, and sticking with Martin, but those DPR boys are starting to clear out a little bit, and as I say that, Martin closes right back up on the back of Ireland through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Ireland's you can sort of tell the road driver technique. I don't know how much oval racing he's done in the past, but certainly, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, road course drivers generally have a braking technique that works well enough here to get around. But of course, stock cars, they're a little bit different. They don't react, they don't point into the corner the way a high downforce road course car may do. And we saw that a little bit earlier on, didn't we, when he got on the brakes and got a little bit loose. He's very fast initially, but we'll see what he's like as the run goes on. And he's sort of surrounded by these guys who drive these cars every week. But he's certainly making a really, really good fist of it right now. And we keep talking about Tom Williams, don't we? We call him the rookie, but something tells me he's done this before. He might be an ANZCAR rookie. He's only just joined up in the league, but I can't imagine this is the first time he's been around in a stock car, because he's doing too well. He's right up there pushing one of our goats, Jason Martin, as we get a caution out there on the track. Who's gone around? It looks like Barry Neal's gone around.
Yeah, that's an unusual incident to see Barry around.
Yeah, and it's just that same old thing again, comes in with a little bit too much speed. Although just watching his truck on the way into the corner, I have a feeling that he might have... the rear end of that car has broken away really quickly, and I don't know if potentially he might have been downshifting or something, because that almost looks like a compression lock. Normally, if somebody just drives in the corner too hard, it's a nice gradual slide. It's frustrating from inside the cockpit because you can feel it coming for so long, and it takes so long to slide that car around, but there is not a damn thing in the world that you can do about it. But this time, like, the back end of Neal's car there really looks as though it just jumped out, and it seemed to do so right as there was a pop of flame from the exhaust as well. So I wonder if there was a downshift in that. Just jumping on board for a replay. Take a look at it. Of course, there's still very hard to tell.
There was a slight spike in his rev counter, but I don't think it was enough to have a downshift, Ed.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. If that wasn't a downshift, a compression lock or something like that, that's a little bit weird, the way that thing just jumped out of line like that. It's a little strange. But either way, he'll regather that anyway. And we're going to go 2 by 2 again as soon as those pace car lights go out, indicating that everyone's happy and they're going to let us get going again. And of course, we've got the 2 DPR cars, as we've mentioned a couple of times tonight, out there running. They have taken over the lead running from Bottrell, who is back up there. If anybody's watching him at the moment, he's up there behind his teammate, Scott Lefebvre. Definitely still a lot of pace in that truck. He's going to be kicking himself, but I think he's also going to back himself to be able to get back up there. I would not put it past him. He wasn't holding the queue up. He was running really, really well and absolutely deserved to be in the lead based on the pace that he was able to run. And sure, it's a low-speed track. There's still a little bit of an advantage to being in clear air, but not a lot. It's more of a psychological thing and a vision thing, being able to be in clear air. But I still wouldn't put it past him to get back up there. I reckon he's got what it takes to get right back up there. So we'll see what he can do. He's got a teammate in front of him who we would assume will be nicer to him than maybe one of the other boys might. And then he's got Curtis, Williams, Martin, Ireland and Jones in his way before he can retake his position at the front of the grid.
Yeah, he's definitely quick, and every time he comes out, as I said, he's only new to the ovals this year. Not done a great deal, but I know he's running in the Outlaws, the NASCAR series, and he's getting plenty of laps every weekend. So yeah, it's only expected that he gets better and better driving around other trucks.
Yeah, definitely. Those Valve boys have come out swinging this year. We all know that. They've been doing a great job all across that particular team. But we'll look at another particular team sitting there on the front row, DPR, Ryan Jones. Oh, he leaves it late. Him and his teammate get away very, very evenly. And that's almost, I tell you what, right, I can see that they were trying to arrange that restart between them, but that is almost a bit of a disadvantage to Chris Ireland being there on the outside like that. Unless he's able to grab the lead here, he's going to get hung out. So Yeah, we're going to see him with almost the same problem, but he's making a good fist of it on the outside at the moment. Potentially Jones not running 100% to his maximum down there, although he clears him now. And that's going to leave Ireland out there on the outside. If Jones jumps, then he almost makes a bit of a gap for his teammate to split into. But he has it there, and Ireland's still stuck there on the outside.
I tell you what, Bottrell just made a very big move. He stuck the nose down very late to get underneath Williams as he finally gets the job done there for fifth place. Poor old,
he's made 2 spots in a lap. He's going right.
But it was a great move, like very late. Williams went to turn down and said, oh no, I can't go there. There's a Toyota underneath.
All right, so we've actually got here Jason Martin. He's managed to clear Chris Ireland, and he's moved up into second place right on the back of Jones. And we know how good Jason Martin has been over so many years. And Ryan Jones now also getting to the stage where he's got enough experience under his belt to run right up the front there with the best of them and do it all race long. So this is going to be an absolutely fascinating fight here to see who comes out best. Martin with really good drive off of turn 2, manages to sink it in underneath Ryan Jones. Jones gives him plenty of space, but doesn't, crucially, make the mistake of running out too wide out of that little concrete area there. And they're going to run side by side. Martin, yeah, Jones just decides to do the old switcheroo there. Is he going to go the big late break? I don't think he's close enough. And we got Martin to the lead.
We've seen in the last couple of weeks, Ed, that Martin's really been able to bring that second set of tyres on. I just don't know what it's been. It's just like, I don't know. It's just something strange. Whether he's just been toying with the guys in that first stint on that first set of tyres.
Well, let's not forget he got hung out, didn't he? He got hung out quite early, didn't get the opportunity to get back down into line. And then by the time he did, you're not kind of really wondering how hard to push because it's still early days. So he was probably just being a little bit smart about it. And now that he's... Oh, big slide there for... I believe it was Lefebvre in the background. But he's gathered that up. But he's lost a spot to Barry Neal just there. Just getting off the turn. Just getting off, I believe it was turn 3. Just struggling there off turn 4, I'm sorry. Just struggling there to get the power down and a big old slide. And one of the things he's going to have to be careful of now is those rear tyres are going to be really hot, and he's got to be gentle on them for a few laps to get it back inside the temperature window where they're going to give him grip again.
So one thing
Ruben Phelps having a big look at Bottrell there. Bottrell fired off really, really quickly, but he's lost a little bit of time to Curtis. And Phelps now giving him a whole bunch of curry as he gets underneath the 225. Are they going to get off the turn? Well, Ruben smoothed the silk off the corner, and he'll probably complete it just here. Depends how hard Bottrell is able to fight on the outside. He's got to slot in ahead of Williams. He doesn't want to lose 2 spots, and he hasn't done. But just at the front, Jason Martin having to go defensive against Ryan Jones as well. Not sure if he made a little bit of a mistake there, if Jones is just getting off the turns better at this stage. But yeah, Martin, we saw him just have to move a lane off the wall to cover off.
Yeah, I was just going to say the probably one of the biggest movers is the 06 Phelps, but the other big mover that's found himself up in the 4th place after starting out at 10th is Riley Curtis. But as we say,
Bottrell around. Bottrell's gone around on the exit of the turn now. I assume that there would have been contact. Oh, yeah, he did most of it himself. He's just got a little bit greedy on the power there. Got a big slide, and looks as though Williams wasn't able to avoid. He's just sort of helped finish him off there. If they indeed did touch, I can't actually tell from that angle where they did actually make contact, but if they did, it was very, very slight. And yeah, things going bad to worse to Bottrell at the moment. He's maybe just ran a little bit too hard trying to make all those spots up, and it looks as though he's ducking in for a fresh set of boots. He really wants some new tyres on that 225. Most of the other guys staying out. Barry Neal, he's had a bit of a rough night, hasn't he? Just dropping in. We're going to see what these guys in the pits actually elect to do. I wouldn't be surprised to see them take tyres, though. Barry Neal at his stall, the 22. Okay, yep, there it goes. Goes up on the jacks. He's definitely taken right sides. Are we going to see the lefts go up? Yep, he's taking all 4 tyres, Barry Neal. So we'll just have a look at Bottrell now. Yep, he's getting left sides, and I'm sure he'll get right sides as well. Looks as though the rear tyres on that particular truck have cried enough. He's got a little bit of cosmetic damage on there as well. I don't think that's going to hurt him too much. He'll just top off with fuel, perhaps get as much of the repairs done as he possibly can, but it's certainly not worth losing a lap for, and he realises that, gets on the the gas, and gasses up, spins up those tyres, and gets out the pit lane. He will rejoin the pack, and that pack is still being led by Jason Martin.
Yeah, as I was going to say, Riley Curtis has done really well, and but he was just about to come under some pressure there for fourth place by Ruben Phelps. So that be an interesting battle to keep an eye on when we get back under green.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to actually see a little bit of a longer green flag run coming up at some point soon, because you know they've all had a chance to sort of play themselves in now. A few of the guys have made mistakes, which they'll learn from. A few of the guys have just had a chance to almost make mistakes and learn from those. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them go a little bit longer under green, but there's always that ever looming threat of just breaking that little bit too late, and it's so easy to do. And as we mentioned earlier on, you've got to adjust that braking point as well as the tyres and the fuel and everything else wears off. Brake balance, how the drivers have got that set, plays a big part in that as well. So, yeah, lots of variables to come into it, and it is not an easy task. It looks simple, this little speedway, doesn't it? But both ends of the track are actually a little bit different. On one end of the track, the banking actually rises up out of the ground and sort of sits above ground level, while at the other end of the track, the bottom of the banking kind of sinks down below the level of the straightaway. So you actually have to drive each end of the track slightly differently. Not massively, but you do have to remember which end of the track you're at. So we'll see how well the guys manage to do this now as the pace car goes off again. The field is under Jason Martin's control, not for the first time, and certainly not the last. And we'll see how good a fist of it Jones can make on the outside there in the 11, and how aggressive is Ireland going to be inside row 2.
Great jump by Martin there, and we've seen really Ireland giving some Morse code on the back, rolling around to that Geico restart zone.
Yeah, he didn't get off turn 2 overly well, and that's allowed Jones to clear. I'm not sure if that was deliberate or not, but yeah, certainly didn't get as good a run off the turn as he might have done. Riley Curtis, he's just having a look there, trying to slot into 4th place. He's desperately trying to hold Ruben Phelps at bay, but it looks like he slightly outbraked himself, got the back of Ireland there, and that's checked him up just enough to allow the 06 to slot into 4. He's marching forward, the 06, isn't he, tonight? We sort of saw him a little bit down there, down towards the back. I think he only qualified on the back row or something like that, but he's moved all the way up to 4th place. So, yeah, interesting to see how far forward he can actually get.
Yeah, he started down in 16th, so he's the biggest mover of the night so far, Ed. So be interesting to see how he finishes this race off, being the only SRM truck here tonight. So Erpio had some issues with the internet.
Yeah, definitely. A bit of a technical failure there for our championship leader, so that is going to be something to talk about later on as well, is the points, and he is going to be sitting there watching this at the moment, if indeed he can stand to, and he is going to be going, oh no, if there is anybody that I did not want to be sitting there in the lead of this race, it's the guy who was right on his hammer in the points table, and that is our guy Jason Martin sitting right there up the front. But I tell you, Ryan Jones, Riley gets Riley Curtis right out of the groove out there. Really bad run through 3 and 4, dropped a bunch of spots there, didn't damage the truck crucially, but it's looking at the moment, and I hate to say these things are just over half distance, but it's looking at the moment as though the race is going to be decided potentially between the 21 and the 11. Those two look to be a little bit of a cut above in terms of pace at the moment.
Yeah, definitely are right, but I mean, say we know that Jones is an aggressive driver.
Yellow flag. Yeah. Caution out. I'm just trying to catch the back end of that one. It looks as though Nigel Patton has just made that old outbreak again. Not again for him, again for the field. I think that's the first time that we've seen him make that particular error. And he did manage to get it back straight and running, so I'm not 100% sure we really needed a caution for that. But iRacing has done what iRacing does, and that's given us another yellow flag. So
Phelps in pit lane. Phelps has come in the pit lane.
Okay, yeah, just Ruben Phelps there. It looks as though, is that Lefebvre behind him? It is. And Norman Clark coming down pit lane, and Stephen Clark has come down as well. So we'll just have a quick look at Ruben. We'll see what he does. Looks as though he is getting 4 fresh tyres on that truck. Wouldn't be surprised to see everybody who is coming in getting tyres. And I think I misidentified Clark then. I think it is actually Peyton who's come down. Yeah, it is. My apologies. Misidentified that particular truck. But yeah, Ruben Phelps, he has taken his 4 fresh boots and he is on his way. And it looks as though Scott Lefebvre, he got out way before Ruben Phelps did. So I'm thinking he's only taken a splash of fuel, and indeed that is what he's done. He has not taken tyres, he's just taken a short little splash, and he has rejoined ahead of Ruben Phelps, but behind everyone else. All right, so we've got a bit of time to take a breath. We've had a few cautions, but it's always been sort of frenetic action. Maybe we can, just having ticked over half distance, we can just take a minute to take stock of the situation as we see it. We'll just quickly run through the order. Jason Martin, as we mentioned, our leader at the moment. Ryan Jones, Chris Ireland sitting there second and third, DPR. Tom Williams, Riley Curtis, Shane Bowen, Barry Neal, all the way back up to 7th. He's had an adventure tonight, hasn't he? Bottrell, speaking of people who've had adventures, he's sitting there in P8. Another adventurer, Stephen Clark, he's all the way up to 9th now. And then we've got Closey sitting there in 10th. And then Henniker, Lefebvre, Phelps, Clark, and Nigel Payton. Unfortunately, Urquijo and Schultz out of the race, but they are our only 2 retirements so far.
Excuse me. So will we see Martin try and jump early or wait to the end of that Geico restart zone? Great start so far from him. He's caught both those DPR cars a little bit on the sleepy side. So definitely be interesting to see where he decides to get on the gas this time by.
Yeah, certainly. Well, just while we've got a moment, we'll say hello to our guys in the chat. We'll see Kobe Jordan in there, Matty Raymond, Double D, Dave Douglas, all out there having a bit of a chat, enjoying the broadcast tonight. Great to see you guys out there having a watch. Hope you're enjoying what you're seeing. And we're about to go green flag for you again here. And so we'll have a look to see where Jason Martin is going to be going in that restart zone. I reckon he's going to go early, but we'll see. I've been wrong before, often. So... and he goes around quite early, around about halfway through, gets a really good jump, and he's going to have the track all to himself as he drives down into turn 1 and 2. Ryan Jones hanging to the outside, giving his teammate a little bit of space, but he'll clear him easy enough coming off of turn 2. They're 3 wide coming down the back stretch there. That is Sam Mount Clark going down the inside of one of the valve cars. I think it's Bottrell. Yeah, just keeping a nice tight line there. Of course, Clark trying to nurse those tyres to the end. He didn't realise we had tyre limits on tonight, and he started using his tyres up all early, and now he's got a long, long way to go on not very much rubber. But yeah, he slotted into the line. Norman Clark, the only one side-by-side at the moment, and I think he is side-by-side with Henniker, and those guys are going to sort that out. And now looks like Peyton looking to jump down the inside of Henniker as well, and they've all sorted themselves out single file. For how long? Not very long, because Ruben Phelps sticking his nose down the inside of Bottrell, who appears to be just getting held up a little bit by the very old tired, not old and tired, I'm not talking about Stephen Clark, I'm talking about the tyres on his truck. They are very old and they are tired tyres, and definitely the guys behind him looking for a way past at the moment. Both of those guys been very, very aggressive all night. That shows absolutely no sign of abating, nor would you think it would at a place like Martinsville Speedway.
Definitely not. And I've just been watching up the front while we've been concentrating a little bit further back. The gap up there between Martin and Jones is getting out to half a second, then it's closing back up. That's now back down to 200th of a second. So these two are really battling hard at front. And we can see, Jones gets
Bit of a bobble.
very sideways.
A little bit of a horrible bobble there right in the middle of the corner, but he's gathered that up, so he'll be okay. And luckily, he's got a teammate behind him who he knows is not going to throw any stupid moves on him, or maybe he will. I don't know what they're talking about at the moment, but you'd assume that the other DPR truck would be the one that he would want to see in his mirrors more than any other in that scenario where he makes a little bit of a mistake and he can rely on his teammate not to just drive through him. And that's the kind of thing that you often see at Martinsville. You don't cut a guy a break at Martinsville. A short track racing, you do not cut a guy a break. So very, very nice for him that he's got a teammate behind him who appears to be playing nice with him so far. We'll see what it gets like towards the end of the race. Not sure.
Yeah, that gap though between Jones and Ireland, that's out to half a second, and Williams is closing in and out, same as the front two. Third and fourth are really having a battle, but by the looks of it, Riley Curtis is closing up on the back of Williams there.
Oh, I was just waiting for you to finish your thought there, because Ruben Phelps was right there underneath Barry Neal, and he just come off the corner and gets turned to the outside wall. Barry Neal goes around as well. Bit of a strange incident that they were kind of leaning on each other on the exit of the corner. They're both trying to get on the throttle, and I think Barry Neal's rear end got slightly loose. And in the position that he was in, that just turned him into the side of Ruben and has turned him right into the fence. Bottrell in another one, nowhere to go, no fault of his own at all. That one has just collected the side, driven straight into the door of Barry Neal. And that is unfortunate. That shows how little a slip. It was only the tiniest little slip of the rear tyres of Barry Neal in that incident that kicked that entire thing off. And anybody who doesn't think these things are difficult, well, there you have it. They do not allow you to get away with mistakes more often than not.
And Jones in pit lane, as we can see there by the live pictures again. So we'll watch him. Does he go up? Yes, takes rights. Okay. So I'm going to ask a question here. Is there any benefit of just taking the one side, or do you really need to take all four every time? Because I know on certain tracks that you do gain an advantage with taking one side, normally the working side tyre.
Generally speaking, the advantage is mainly in the reduced pit stop time. So if you decide to take only two tyres, you can get out of the pits ahead of a whole bunch of the guys you might be racing. You generally only want to look at that, and it's not the case everywhere, and it's the kind of thing that if you're going to do it, it's probably something you may have wanted to test out in practice. But if your truck's a little bit tight, taking only two tyres can help loosen it up a little bit, at least initially, until the pressures start to equalise across the tyres, because you've got to remember, you stop there on pit road, all your tyres are hot, then you're bolting two cold ones on, which are not yet up to pressure. So it does change the balance of the truck, but then once everything sort of gets up to pressure and temperature and the tyres start to wear in a little bit, you generally just find that the truck is a little bit, it'll be better than somebody on 4 old tyres, but you won't be as good as somebody on 4 new tyres. That goes pretty much everywhere. Martinsville's a little bit of an odd place. It hasn't got a lot of banking in it, and you do have to do quite a lot of wheel work to get yourself through the corner. So depending on what Ryan's finding from his truck at the moment, I think if he was finding that it was loose, I don't think that he would have gone for that particular strategy unless he was very concerned about dropping spots, which he might have been in a place like this. But generally speaking, if your truck's loose, it's not something you want to try. But if your truck's trending a little bit towards the neutral or tighter side, it is definitely a tool that you can use. So we'll see what he's able to do. He should be faster, at least initially. Once those tyres sort of equalise at the temps, he should be faster than most of the guys in front of him. So we'll see what he's able to do.
All right, lights are out on the pace car, and look who's back up into third spot.
Nick
very damaged or well-worn 225 and Bottrell, as you said.
That's all right. The panels are just there to protect the important bits. Don't worry about that. It's absolutely fine. Aero, not really a concern. Get after it. And here we go. The 21 is going to go as soon as he wants. He holds them back. It's a late jump. But but it's absolutely caught Chris Island off guard, because the back end of that truck has squirmed around and Bottrell has got right underneath him. And we've got another caution. That dodgy restart really hurt Island there. So just having a look at that one, it looks as though Bottrell got down the inside, and I'm not 100% sure that Chris Island knew he was there, because he's just sort of turned across like he's going to take his normal line. Maybe he just misjudged the amount of room there on the inside. And of all the people that could tag the 623 as it's trying to recover itself there, it's the other DPR truck, Ryan Jones. Pops a big whack on the front. We'll have a look at that 11. Not looking too badly damaged. The right side fender is pushed in a little bit. But yeah, unfortunate after those guys have worked so well together tonight to wind up sort of clattering into one another. But when there's a truck sideways across the track, what do you do?
Close eyes, hit brake, and hold on.
Oh, the brakes do nothing. We've seen that so far. These things have got brakes made of cheese, especially when they start to get a bit of temperature in them. So, yeah, I think all of that kind of stemmed, and I'm not throwing any kind of blame on Jason Martin on that at all. I think it was quite clever. But the way in which he just sort of changed up that restart. He just waited until a little bit later in the zone. I think Island may have been expecting him to go a little bit earlier than that, but when he did finally got in there, it was almost as though he's kind of caught Island a little bit off guard. We saw the 623, the tail wagging around as he tried to get that power down, and that bit of a delay off the restart was what allowed Bottrell to get there. But in the defence of the 225, he was there. Like, he had overlap, he was underneath, and I'm not 100% sure that Island actually knew where he was.
And that's one of the biggest differences in oval track racing and circuit track, Ed, too. You've only just got to have an overlap, and you kind of sort of really deem that you have that line where you see in circuit track racing that B pillar rule come into big play.
Yeah, they like their B pillars and their braking zones and their turn-in points and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot simpler over in our side of things, where if a guy's got overlap, you've got to leave him alone. And it's as simple as that. So, and it's generally sort of self-policing, because if a guy does get a bit of overlap and you don't leave him alone, generally speaking, you wind up getting spun out. So, but I'm not sure if Island got that spotter call, because it really did look as though he just didn't know he was there. Like, it didn't look like a deliberate close the door. It didn't look like a late block. It didn't look like he was trying to do anything against Bottrell. I just don't think he knew he was there.
No, it definitely looks that way. Yeah, as you said, he looked like he was just going to come down and take his normal racing line, and he has been.
All right, well, the pace car's in again, and Jason Martin is going to lead them off. What is he going to do against Bottrell there on the outside? Our pole setter, he's been up, he's been down, he's back up the front right now, and we're going to see what Martin does here. He's waiting, he goes about halfway through the zone. Stephen Sandman Clark, great launch. Bottrell, not so good on the outside. Lefebvre sending it right in there as well. He's come up a long way. And unfortunately, Ryan Jones just barges through. I wasn't saying unfortunately Ryan Jones gets up there, but I don't think Bottrell had a great start. In fact, he is going into the pit lane. I'm not sure if he's had a penalty, but those fresh two boots, only half of his boots are fresh. Ryan Jones making really good work of that at the moment. Stephen Clark, his next target. He just looks like he's got so much more grip coming through. This has worked out brilliantly for him. Hopefully that damage on the front doesn't play in later on. Normally on fresh tyres, the damage doesn't hurt you. It's later on when they've been asked to do more turning without the benefit of the aero. But it looks as though that's going to be okay. It's only a bit of a ripple. And he's probably going to take his time here. Bottrell coming back out of the pits. I can only assume he had a penalty of some kind.
Yeah, he's just driven through pit lane. So he's been given a drive through for some reason.
Okay, it was probably incidents. And speaking of which, there's one at the back. That looks like it involved one, although we're staying green for the moment, so we'll just keep our eyes on the front because Ryan Jones has just made a move through into second place. I think that may have been Shane Bowen there at the back getting turned around, but they have recovered and they are continuing on. So now Ryan Jones on some fresh boots too. Coming up behind Jason Martin in the 21, who's leading. We're seeing Lefebvre now. He's just given a little bit of a touch up to Stephen Clark, who's got nothing left to fight back with. He's stuck there on the outside lane. Norman Clark coming down into the pits, and Ryan Jones looking. He's making a move for the lead right down there, under brakes, into turn 1, gets it done in turn 2, and the 11 is back up front.
Still plenty of laps to go. We're still 75 laps out from the race from the checkered flag coming. I would imagine that we may see another caution, and I would expect Martin to come down and take that last set of tyres and really give it to Jones. But a little bit further back, we got Curtis and Lefebvre having a great ding-dong battle there for third.
Lefebvre, the French Football Association. We just seen Tom Williams make a really, really good outbraking manoeuvre down there on Sandman as well. Shot right up there at the inside. How much more further forward is he going to go? Riley Curtis is all over the back of Lefebvre at the moment. He has had a look down the inside. Now he's having a look down the outside. Lefebvre going a little bit defensive, running a lane off the wall there. He's saying, okay, Riley, you want to pass me, you've got to go all the way around the outside. And that is exactly what Lefebvre wanted to see there. Curtis out of the groove, out there on the bitumen, in the marbles, in the flat, unable to get that truck turned, and that has taken the pressure right off the 66 for the time being.
Yeah, we've seen both of them get a little bit sideways there, but both are really well to keep it under control. We got back up the front. Jones now out to a half a second gap over Martin. So Jones has come in and taken those tyres and really come out and really push the button now.
Yeah, all Jones has got to do is actually maintain that sort of gap. He doesn't have to extend. He might want to give himself a little bit of a buffer if he catches lap cars, but you got to remember the only way that Martin's getting back up to him is if A, he burns his tyres off, or much more likely, B, there's a caution, which we've seen quite a few of tonight. Those are the only things that are going to cause Martin to come back up, and you can at least cover yourself off against one of those by not running too hard, keeping that gap around about where it's at. Just sort of between half a second and a second, too far back for Martin to really do anything about it. He doesn't need to push, he just needs to get into the rhythm and manage it, because he wants to keep that tyre advantage all the way through to the end of the race if we run green, and that's what he's got to be planning on. You can't be planning on another caution, however likely it is. He's just got to sit there, keep it calm and manage that now.
Yeah, last time by, Ryan Jones did a 19.6, Martin did a 19.8, so 200ths of a second quicker at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on that and just see whether that increases or decreases. A little bit of a swivel.
It's on for third. Sorry to cut you off, but Tom Williams having a really good look at Lefebvre, who looks to be struggling for a little bit of just outright pace at the moment. I'm not sure how old his tyres are at the minute, but he's got Williams up behind him, who's looking quick. He's got Curtis up behind him. He's got Phelps, who's recovering, and he's even got Clark back there as well. So there's a little bit of a queue there, and he just seems to be like Curtis. You saw earlier on, he attacked Lefebvre. Lefebvre defended. Curtis ran up the track, but he's caught all the way back up. So I think just in terms of a little bit of raw pace missing out of the 66. But we've got that caution. We've got that caution. Just having a quick look to see who that was. I have a feeling it might have been... No, I was going to say I thought it was Bowen, but no, it's not Bowen. It is Bottrell. He's just had a bit of a slide there. Whacked the wall with the tailgate of that 225. Obviously a little bit frustrated, being a few laps, just a lap down at the moment, trying to work his way back through. Norman Clark's the one sitting there in the lucky dog spot. He's probably trying to get that as well, and we ended up being the caution. And exactly as you picked, Jason Martin coming down the pit lane. Ruben Phelps coming down the pit lane, 4 tyres. Ryan Jones keeping it out there. He's got the track position and fresher tyres than everybody behind him. except for those 2 cars, which are going to be running from the back now. And we're just looking back there. I'm just having a quick look at the tyre strategies amongst the field. Stephen Clark, Sandman, sitting there. We did talk about how he has to manage those tyres to the end. He has done 126 laps on that set of tyres, and he's sitting there running in P7. So he's doing a really good job there. It can't be it can't be easy for him, but I think that when he finally hits in, that is going to be like a new truck. He is going to be, it's going to be like being on a really long road trip and really needing a wee. And then when you finally see that servo in the distance, you pull in, do what you need to do, and everything's fantastic. That is exactly how he's going to feel once he manages to get those new tyres on. Everything about driving gets better in either scenario.
Yeah, definitely. It's he won't know himself on a new set of rubber. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting now because it's going to put Martin down into 10th place. You know, as you said, Ed, everyone else has got a few laps on, 20 plus laps on these tyres now. So Martin's got to be wary. We're going to probably go back with 49 laps to go in racing. But he's got to be careful not to burn those tyres off trying to get back to the front. He's got to save a little bit to have a battle with whoever it may be that's leading the race when he finally gets to him.
Mate, do you remember who you're talking about here?
Yes, I know.
Martin, mate. He's not gonna lose his head and burn his stuff up trying to get back to the front. The guy's the most calm, calculating, tyre-saving guy that you've ever seen. He's not going to make that mistake. No chance in hell.
I'm sorry, I'll take myself outside and beat myself with the stick.
I'm actually a little bit surprised to see the 66 not come down. As we mentioned, he was just struggling for a little bit of raw pace there, and I think that might have been tyre related. So he might only have one more set left, and he might want to take that a little bit later on, which could work out for him. Depends how comfortable he is, just in terms of the balance of everything and how confident he is on holding guys behind. We're going to see how this works out, though, because he's got the aggressive 55 on the inside road just behind him, who's going to be looking to get a good launch behind the 11, who I'm guessing is going to go a little early. We'll see. No, he holds off. I think he goes about 3/4 of the way through the zone, and that is an illegal lane change by Lefebvre, right down there in front of the 55. That is going to get him a nice, juicy little 5-point penalty. And 55's got to his inside anyway. He doesn't pull down. They're side by side. 55 and 66 being led by 11. It's the, what do they call it? The double digits all leading. 11, 55 and 66. It looks like the 55 is going to get it done. Just manages to clear it. Gives him a little bit of a shot. Riley Curtis, he wants a piece of this. Down there on the inside. He's on the inside of Lefebvre as well. And we've got Ireland back there. We haven't talked about him for a little while. He's making his way back up there into the top 5 as well. So plenty going on for the back end of the top 5.
You're definitely right. And we see there that 66 truck really getting looser and really having a fight and race defensively. But it hasn't worked for him because these had cars get past him. He just seems to be the cork in the bottle at the moment with these other guys. Ruben Phelps. Oh!
Yeah, a bit of a caution there. That's involving Sandman Clark, and I was just actually watching that one unfold while you were talking, and Clark has just got up the inside of Ireland, and that's just caused him to have a little bit of a check-up. And just as he's done that, he's got Ruben Phelps on his inside, Barry Neal there on the outside, and it looks as though Clark has just... I'm not sure if he just struggled to control as he came off the corner, or whether or not he's...
It actually looks like he just touched the inside panel of Ireland and had to check up, and Ruben's just had nowhere to go but bumped the rear of that truck, and that's really unsettled it and turned it to the right. Yeah,
he was getting bounced around like a pinball in that. He got nudged by Ruben and everything like that. I think there might have actually been a little bit of neck code in there too.
Yeah, look out, look at this. He's in pit lane. He's taking right side tyres. So so long as he can stay on that lead lap, I think we may have a hard charger.
Who are we talking about? Sorry, there.
Mr. Clark.
Stephen Clark's taken rights. He looks like he's still in the pit lane to me.
Yeah,
No,
he's come. He's come. Oh, yep.
I think he's taken 4.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. I just
Yeah, he took
seen
4.
the rights.
Yeah, he took 4 tyres. So Stephen Sandman Clark, the number 96. Haven't seen him for a while. It's good to see him out here again. Although he's been in the wars a little bit tonight, but he has got 4 fresh tyres to get him through to the end of the race now. That's going to be an advantage for him. He's just got to use them wisely, and I'm sure he will. Trying to get back to the front. There's some beat-up trucks out there. But Tom Williams sitting up there in second place now after all that's cleared out. And how far up did Martin get? Martin made a few spots. He restarted. Where was he? Back there in about 13th or something
11th,
like that?
yeah, somewhere just outside the 10, but now he's back inside the 10.
Yeah.
9th. So
he's got fresher tyres than everybody in front of him. Ryan Jones has got fresher tyres than everybody between himself and Jason Martin. So he'll probably be able to clear out, I think, a little bit. Although Tom Williams, I'm not 100% sure what tyres he's on, but I don't think that they're as new as Jones's. Right, I think that the top 3 have actually got the same tyre life on, although I think Jones only took 2 and maybe the other guys took 4, I'm not sure. So we should see a fair bit of pace out of those guys as well. But we can predict all we like, but we don't know until it actually happens. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see, just like everybody there. I hope you're enjoying it. It's been an action-packed short track race, as you normally get with these short track ones. Anybody who's familiar with late model racing or dirt racing knows what these types of tracks race like. It's been an absolutely classic short track battle out there tonight. And, we'll see who comes away with all the chocolates at the end. Ryan Jones is looking good, but I think that a lot of the guys there in the top 5 are going to fancy themselves for a really good result as they go 2x2 again. And Clark just getting to the back of the pack before they go. Where's Jones going to go? Is he going to go early, late? A little late, but he's got away really, really well, actually. Really left Williams standing on the outside. Curtis down to the inside. That's exactly what Jones wanted to see behind, as 2 guys running side by side. Didn't last, though. They managed to get in. Ireland just gets a little bit of oversteer. Looks as though he's headed to pit road, Chris Ireland. I'm not sure what the scenario is there, whether it might be a penalty or something of that nature. Yeah, penalty, black flag, Christopher Ireland. So 12 incident point penalty for him. So he's going to have to come down and take that drive through. And we're just going to have to see what he's able to do from there. Norman Clark having a look down the inside of one of the Cobalt cars, just backs out of it at the last minute. Martin getting beaten around at the back there while he's trying to get past Barry Neal and Ruben Phelps, who are having their own little private battle there. And Martin's been kind of shuffled to the outside. That is exactly what he does not want. He needs to be able to use those fresh tyres to get in front. Does the crossover. Dives back down the inside of Bowen, who smartly leaves him a lane down the inside. Doesn't leave a lane for Closey, who barges his way through. And looks as though that they've kept that running. Closey has managed, although he's been hit again and turned around. Bowen has been absolutely pinballed in the last lap. First of all, I don't think Martin actually touched him, just pushed him to the outside. But the 75 got in the back of him. He managed to regather that. And then what's happened? I think it's Bottrell. Take a look down the inside, and he's just sent it in there. But it's kind of hard to tell from the angle that I'm watching it from who, if anybody, was really to blame for that one. I think the Bottrell did get his nose in there.
Oh, I don't know about that one, Ed. It's a late dive.
It's a late send.
Yeah, if he has, he's only just got it in there and just got the overlap. It's definitely one I'm not glad I'll be looking at.
Yeah, no, it's a late send. We'll let ANZCAR figure that out and pretend that I'm not involved in that for the time being. I'm commentator right now. Okay, so we'll just deal with that a little bit later on. But very, very late send in there. Bottrell obviously still confident that he's got what it takes to get back to the front in this race, but he's sitting 2 laps down at the moment. But fortunately for him, Chris Ireland has just gotten the lucky dog, so that leaves Bottrell as easily the first car off the lead lap. So the next time that there's a caution, so long as he's not involved in it, he's going to take that lucky dog and get his lap back. So he'll need that to happen a couple of times, then he'll be back on the lead lap, and then we'll be able to see what he'll be able to do from there. But the laps are winding down here. We haven't got that many to go. We've got less than a quarter of the race to go. Ryan Jones still leads, Tom Williams second, Ruben Phelps all the way back up there in third. Barry Neal, wasn't he in a wreck a couple of minutes ago? He's fourth. And Jason Martin, he's up there in P5.
We just see two trucks. Yeah, I was just going to say, we see two trucks coming in for tyres, Lefebvre, and I just missed the other one. So, bit of a late charge, maybe. They are just outside the top 10. So, with fresh rubber, Ed, we may see a hard charger through the field.
Yeah, definitely. And, one of the things that we're seeing a fair bit of tonight is, we talked about the danger of braking really late here, didn't we? We talked about it a couple of times. And the main way in which, it's very tempting to send the truck down the inside there and try and make that late braking manoeuvre. But quite often it ends in tears. You're actually far better served, and this only comes with experience, to actually get into the corner behind the other guy. Give him a little bit of a nudge in the mid-corner so he's not able to get the throttle down as early as he wants coming off the turn, and then get alongside the guy coming off the turn. And we're seeing two different styles there, and they're mainly born out between the guys who have actually got a lot of oval experience versus guys who maybe have a little bit less. And the guys who've got the oval experience have been doing it for a number of years. That's what they're doing. They're trying to pass on the power, on the throttle, coming out of the exit of the corner and setting themselves up for the next turn. And then there are other guys who are just trying to send it in under brakes, and that's biting them. So we'll see what happens from here. Ryan Jones is going to lead them away again. We've got Tom Williams there on the outside.
I was just going to say, keep an eye on that second row. Two Kiwi drivers, and both of them will want to finish in front of the other. So that's where it's going to be, I reckon.
Yeah, Phelps gets his nose down underneath Williams, who pinches him right down the inside, gives him no room at all, but a really nice drive off the corner for the 55. He's done great there. And Phelps does, just basically comes across, covers off Neal, who had a really good run there on the outside. Jason Martin on the inside of Barry Neal. Those two probably not going to touch. Neither of them get overly physical unless there's no other choice. So I think those two are going to run fairly clean side by side and just wait to see how it settles out. But that's cleared Phelps up into third place. We'll see how much speed he's able to get. We'll see if Martin's able to get clear, whether he's able to use those four tyres. But at the moment, Williams putting all the pressure that he can on the two-tyred number 11 of Ryan Jones. That is two fresh tyres he put on at one point. A good few laps ago now, but a few of those have been run under caution, so they should be still reasonably fresh. But in outright pace, he shouldn't have the grip that the 55's got behind him as he bounces it off the wall. They're three wide behind. Riley Curtis. Was it Curtis? Curtis and Norman Clark, and one other there. They were three wide for a moment. They've sorted themselves out now. Curtis getting a big drive off the corner on the outside of Clark. And we can see Ryan Jones there. He's just kind of edging away a little bit. Tom Williams trying really, really hard. You can see the back end of that truck really moving around as he tries to get off the corner. He's using as much of that grip as he's got available. He's trying as hard as he can to get there on the power, but he just hasn't got it at the moment.
Sorry, Ed. I was just keeping an eye on that battle, and we're going to have a loop car. We're going to go under caution.
Are we though?
No.
Running. I saw exactly what you were looking at. That was Scott Lefebvre going into the outside wall and removing his front bumper, and he's just gone in there too hot, got the back out, and he's done what every road course driver does when they start to get loose. They correct. And when you correct on an oval, that fires you into the outside wall. When you've been driving ovals for a long time, you know you keep that steering wheel straight and you wait for the car to save itself. But road course guys always want to try and correct. And as soon as it grips up, it fires in the outside wall. And there was actually a guy called Gordon Smiley who died doing exactly that at the Indy 500 back in the 80s, I believe. He was a road course racer and did exactly that and wound up going head on into the fence, and unfortunately did not survive that one. But it just shows the difference in technique between an oval track and a road course, and how hard it can be to get rid of these little instinctive things that you've been doing for years.
So the laps are winding down here. We've got a little bit of a bottleneck between Williams, Phelps and Martin. Very evenly paced here at the moment, and that's allowed Jones to check out a little bit and get a 1.5 second gap over Williams in second.
Yeah, Jones just skipping away out the front at the moment, isn't he? Yeah, Williams, I think, potentially just overheated those rear tyres a little bit. He was driving really, really hard off the turn, and we saw the back end of that truck starting to move around, whereas Jones looks like he's on rails at the moment, and Williams coming under a bit of pressure from Ruben Phelps and Jason Martin as well. And those guys, if they're going to do anything about Jones, they've got to get on with it. They've got to get past Williams quite quickly, but it doesn't really look as though they've got enough to actually really get in there and dislodge the 55 from second place at the moment. So this is happy days for the 11 at the minute. He's just rolling around out the front, keeping it straight, keeping it smooth, not sliding, not overcooking it, and I think he's going to be quite comfortable at the moment. That might change if he starts to see purple in his mirror, though. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. We're coming down to 20 laps to go. So we got the 308 around, and we're going to go caution. Now, this is what Jones didn't want.
Yeah, Bowen's been caught in a bit of a difficult spot there, because he's got Ireland to his outside, and Ireland's given him plenty of room. He's doing the right thing. He kind of looked as though he was aware that they're potentially 3 wide there. Clark is down the inside, and he did get there. He kind of got up to his door, and they were kind of nudging for a while, but I think that's just unsettled Bowen, just as they were rubbing. Very, very easy to do, and that's just pushed the 308 around. So, yeah, very, very difficult. It's difficult racing. It's difficult when you're running side by side with somebody, and it doesn't take a lot. It only takes a little bump every now and again to actually completely mess you up. You know, these cars are knife edge. They don't look like they're knife edge, but they are absolutely knife edge going through these turns. I'll tell you what, Jason Martin would have really wanted to be up there in P3. If he could have restarted P3, he could have been a real shot to get in there, and then we probably would have seen a battle between probably the 2 fastest cars of the night so far, if you discount Bottrell from that. But yeah, with Williams and Phelps there, I reckon Phelps has got a bit of speed there too. So we'll see if he can get a decent jump and maybe get up there and maybe tickle that tailgate on the 11 a little bit, as we see the 225 getting 1 of his laps back. So that's he needs that to happen one more time, and he's going to be back on the lead lap.
Now, the other thing too, Ed, is that both Jones and Williams have got 64 laps on this set of tyres, and both Phelps and Martin have got 37 laps on these tyres. So a little bit older off the front row and a little bit younger on the second row.
Yeah, and that's actually going to be really, really quite... It's a bit of an unknown at the moment how much pace Ruben has actually got, because he's been up and down and up and down and up and down all night. But I've not really had too much of an opportunity to see Phelps running in clean air. He's never really had an opportunity. He's always been bottled up behind somebody almost for the entire race. So if he's able to get a good restart off the inside row and happens to clear the 55, who I don't think at the moment has got the pace to run with Jones, unless, like, okay, his tyres are cooling down a little bit, so that might help him, but I don't think he's got the outright pace to run with Jones. Phelps just might. Yeah, so we'll have to see how that turns out.
Then back on that third row, we've got Riley Curtis that's got 20 laps on his tyres. Barry Neal 58 laps, and then we got that 623 the DPR Christopher Island on 19 lap old tyres. So don't count Island.
Yeah,
there is one hell of a mix there.
Yeah. So I guess initially it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of pace the 06 has got. I reckon the 21 has got pace as well. Riley definitely does. Ireland, we're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see what Barry Neal can do on those old tyres. When does Jones jump? Right now, off he goes. And Phelps has got a really good jump there on the inside as well. He's probably going to be able to clear the 55, I would say. Coming off of turn 2. No, he hasn't been able to clear him just yet. He needs to clear him quickly if he's going to get this done. Martin sitting there underneath as well. Bit of a bump there. And Ruben is clear. Is he clear enough? Yes, he is. And Martin's now down the inside of the 55. He's going to try the same trick. And they're all lining up on Paul Williams there is stuck on the outside because Curtis is he smells blood in the water as well, and he's going to get that done. But Phelps, if he's going to take this off of Jones, he needs to get a wriggle on. He's got to use all this track that he's got. This is your chance. 06, clean air. Show us what you can do. Can you get up there and challenge the number 11 who's been out front for a long, long time now?
Yeah, and Curtis is having another good look down the inside of Williams. And both Ireland and Neal hooked up behind him. Curtis now gets clear of the 55.
Yeah, 55 just dropping off. We thought he might. Looked like he was just sort of struggling towards the end of that stint. He might not have any more tyres to put on. As we're under caution, somebody's gone around. I'm not sure who that was. Somebody towards the back. I think it might have been one of the Valve guys. It's Lefebvre. It's gone around. And it looks as though he's just got together on the corner entry with the 213 of Henniker. And again, it's one of those, and I'm not sure if there's something going on with like the spotter calls or what, but we're seeing a lot of guys on the outside sort of turning in as if the car on the inside is not there. And that's only ever going to end one way, especially at Martinsville. So I'm not sure why that keeps happening, but there's a lot of it going on. Now, this restart is going to be quite different to the one that we just saw, I think. Jones, obviously, he's in the box seat at the moment. He's going to be able to go whenever he wants. But we've got two cars which appear to have fairly even pace, starting in second and third position. Ruben Phelps, Jason Martin. And I think Phelps is going to get away well enough that he's probably going to be fighting Martin through at least the first lap after this restart. And they've got very similar performance, very similar grip. And if they fight each other, if they decide that they want to hang on and they want to run side by side, not only is that going to allow Ryan Jones to skip away, but Riley Curtis is sitting behind them, and he is not going to want to be just sitting there behind these guys waiting for him to sort it out. Expect him to stick that big red Ford nose in there somewhere and potentially start to get a little bit aggressive with that front bumper as well. So not too long to go now. There's only a handful of laps left. We're less than 10 to go. I think by the time we go green, it might even be something like 6 to go or something like that. So 5 or 6 to go. So definitely things looking good for Jones at the moment. But has anyone got anything? Can anybody sort themselves out behind him well enough to give him a run for his money?
So I'm going to put you on the spot here, Ed. You're in Martin's car, the 21 truck. What are you looking forward to do on this restart? You want to get right up under that tail and try and push him to the start, or do you sit back and try and react to the start?
Well, Martin's a lot more polite than me, but I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd get right on Jones's hammer. As soon as he went, I would go as well, and I'd try and get enough of overlap on Ruben that I could give him the old hip and shoulder in turn 1 and 2, knock him high without spinning him out, because you don't want to spin him across your nose. That's just, causes all kinds of issues. You don't know what's going to happen from there. So I'm trying to get enough overlap on the car on my outside that I can give him a good hip and shoulder, knock him out of the groove, then I don't have to worry about him anymore, and then I get to focus on the guy in front. That's what I'm doing, if it's me.
Well, we're going to find out in half a lap, because we are lights out on the safety car, on the pace car, and we're going to go back racing with 4 laps to go. This is a bare knuckle fight now. Be ready for some rule action. And
Can we get a green light checker, you reckon?
I was just going to say, don't be surprised to see another caution out.
I reckon we might. Okay, here we go. Speed just increasing a little bit. When's Jones going to jump? Right there. He goes real late. And Phelps, desperately trying to come across Martin, decides better of it, realises that the 21's got enough overlap there. And, Ruben Phelps has gone around, tagged by Riley Curtis. There is a massive wreck up there behind. The only two guys that survived that were the front two, Martin and Jones. Let's just try and dissect what's happened there. So we have a look at the run off the line first and second. Martin gets down underneath Phelps. Phelps goes to cover and then realises that Martin's actually got enough of an overlap there. There's nothing he can do. That's smart. He sees him coming. He gives him a lane at the bottom. There's nothing else he can do about that. So he's given Martin a lane at the bottom. I'm just trying to see actually what has happened between him and Curtis. Curtis, pretty aggressive there, has looked to put his nose in. And we'll just take a quick look. Curtis has got underneath, and Curtis has got underneath Phelps, and just at the critical moment, his nose is washed up. And I think Ruben has actually got a little bit loose coming off the turn as well, and that's... Riley's come up, Ruben's come down a little bit, just a little bit loose, trying to get on the throttle, has just made him go down. And then 55, nowhere to go. He's the one who's finished it off because he's got into the back of Curtis. He had no chance of avoiding that. There was just not enough reaction time in it. And it spun Curtis and Phelps around. Barry Neal's got into it. Stephen Clark's got into it. The 66 is in there. Close, he's in it. What a schmozzle.
I don't know if we can get a close-up of Phelps' cut truck, but that left-hand front tyre is definitely not sitting where it should be.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of black flags out there as well. Incident points racking up for these boys. Barry Neal's going to have to serve a drive-through. I think he's carrying a fair bit of damage already anyway. Stephen Clark, he's had to serve a drive-through. Shane Bowen, unfortunately, he's been parked. 18 incident points for him. And Ruben Phelps sitting there with a meatball. So he's on pit road as well. Although he's leaving pit road now, so obviously he has managed to clear whatever meatball he's got. But he's also sitting there on 12 incidents, so he's going to have to serve a drive-through as well. We've actually had some fairly clean races at Martinsville the last few times we've been here, but this one's been elbows out. This one has been absolutely elbows out.
Yeah, it's definitely the boys have come out for a battle tonight. So we can see there Barry Neal's 22 truck, that Toyota. That's heavy damage down the left.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage out there. I don't think there's anybody out there who's undamaged. I believe even Jason Martin's had a hit, and he's normally clean as a whistle. So Ryan Jones did get that bump on his teammate earlier on. But we won't focus on that now because we've got a green-white checker. Will this be the last one, though? Because it's all going to be on right now. Ryan Jones has got exactly what he wants. He's got Chris Ireland, his teammate, right behind him. So he knows he's probably, and I stress probably, not going to get run into from behind. We don't know it, though. So when's he going to go? They're going to try and orchestrate this DPR. They're silly if they don't. So we'll see when Jones goes. We look for Ireland to jump at almost exactly the same time, which is exactly what they've done. That's going to hang Martin out to dry. Looks like Lefebvre chucking another lane change on there. That one's going to be borderline. And Martin right up out of the groove. He bounces off the wall. He's going to come under threat from Lefebvre. Lefebvre sticking a nose down the inside, chops the nose off. As DPR 1-2 at the minute. I hope these boys fight. They might. Ireland having a look to the inside. Is Ireland going to have a go at his teammate? Come on, mate. Give us some entertainment. Stick one down the inside. Lefebvre having a really good run on Martin. Martin going defensive. Ireland looking around the outside. He's not going to get it done out there unless Jones makes a mistake. Jones crosses the line. That is the checker. That is the 11. He has won the race. Chris Ireland, a really, really good recovery up there into P2. Jason Martin third. Lefebvre just fourth. And Wesley Closely, after all of that, after starting right down the back and taking more hits than Elvis, he's come home in the top five.
Yeah, it's a great race. But as you said, we've had some clean races here in the past. But this one was definitely a bare knuckle fight. As Jones comes back to do his celebration of burnouts.
And well, he might. He took that 2-tyre stop, didn't he? And absolutely earned his chocolates tonight. That was that turned out to be an inspired call with the way that it played out. We didn't know how it was going to go. We were asking questions about it at the time. But if you want an answer as to how that turned out, take a look who's out there doing the burnouts right now and the victory lap. It's the 11. He's gotten better at the old burnouts too, Jonesy, hasn't he?
He definitely has.
Just flipping around. He's been taking some drifty lessons from the Big 41, I think.
But is he going to do the old classic kaboom motor?
Oh, maybe. Why not? It's his moment. Let him have a swing.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't need it again. Put a new one in.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not like these little lines of code cost us any money. So, yeah, may as well pop it.
Yep, and there it goes.
Yeah, and it's popped. All right. Well, that was something. It was rough. Let's say that. It was elbows out, is what we'll call it. It was absolutely elbows out. Lots of damage, lots of contact. It was short track racing, man. That was absolutely short track racing.
Well, I mean to say this place really does bring it out. You know, as you said, it's one of a kind. 2 different turns at either end, and it really does bring out some great racing and some hard racing.
Yeah, it also brings out a lot of red mist. So, you know, you come away from this place and it's always the same story. They always say, whenever you walk out of Martinsville, you've only got one happy guy. Everyone else is mad at somebody. But yeah, anyway, I guess what we'll do is we'll grab up the old P3 there. We've got Jason Martin. We'll have a bit of a chat with him and see how it all turned out from his point of view. And we got him up here, the big purple number 21 P3 tonight, Jason Martin. Talk us through that one.
Oh, a bit of chaos out there. That I hated that setup. It was so loose on exit, and every time I went high, I just couldn't get any drive on exit, and I spun nearly every single time I was up there.
Yeah, we actually saw that. We saw a few guys sort of struggling to get off the turn, but we also saw a few guys sort of slipping out of that bottom concrete banked area out onto the flat on the outside in amongst the marbles and everything else. And I think we even saw that happen to you at one point. So definitely didn't look like the place to be being out there on that outside lane.
Yeah, I couldn't drive it out there at all. Every restart, I was giving up heaps of spots because I just couldn't. I just had no confidence on exit, so I was going to spin if I pushed any harder. So I had to try and get to that inside as quick as possible.
So we saw you take the 4 tyres near the end as well, and we were sort of watching that. We thought that you'd sort of gone back to around about sort of 10th, 11th place, and we didn't know what kind of headway you were going to be able to make, but we'd seen a couple of guys on fresh tyres make some good headway, and you seem to be doing the same thing, but not enough in the end necessarily to get up there to the 11.
Yeah, I definitely preferred older tyres. It took me about good 20 laps on the tyres to feel confident, so yeah, I couldn't gain as many spots as I wanted to as quick as I could.
You managed to drive it through to 3rd place anyway, mate, which on a night like tonight is not a bad effort at all, because most people occupied every position in the race at some point or another, from the front to the back and back again. So to come out of there with a P3, I think you can walk away quite happy. Of course, Lockie having issues tonight, that's going to make a big swing in your favour in the point standings as well.
Yeah, I don't worry too much about points until it's near the end. I've got no idea what the situation is. I just try and go as good as possible, and the points will sort themselves out.
Oh, that's potentially a very good way to look at it. So anyway, mate, floor's yours. A few shout-outs and thanks, mate. Go for it.
Yeah, happy with that 3rd. Well done, Ryan, on the win. Thanks to Performance E-Streaming for the broadcast and ANZCAR for the league. And got to thank Mitch Motorsports boys and our sponsor, Leppy Motorsports Concepts. So, yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, there he is, guys. Many race wins under his belt. Third place tonight, Jason Martin. All right, so what we might do, second place traditionally comes next, and that's going to be Chris Island. I've never actually had a chance to speak to Chris before, so this is going to be new. Chris Island, welcome to the booth, mate. I don't think we've ever had the pleasure before. Welcome to the booth. Welcome to ANZCAR. Welcome to Performance E Streaming. How did the race play out from your point of view?
Oh, I feel like it was a bit of a tale of two halves, that race, to be honest. First 100 laps were pretty all right, and then final 100 was it's a bit how you're going, I guess. Well, we got there in the end, so yeah, it was an interesting one, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. As you start to get towards the end of a short track race, it's not that uncommon to certainly see guys start to get the elbows out a little bit more. So, your background, we were talking earlier on at the start of the race. Obviously, we haven't seen too much of you racing in ANZCAR. What type of racing are you most familiar with? Where do you come from?
Yeah, mostly circuit racing myself. I've been dabbling in a bit of circles bit lately, but yeah, mostly circuit racing. GT3s, Porsche Cups, even Indy cars, I guess, around the road courses. So yeah, starting to dabble a little bit in circles, trying to learn this discipline. It's very different.
Yeah, it certainly is. We often find, though, and this is one of the reasons we sort of guessed at the beginning that you were probably a road course guy, was the fact that most of the time, this particular track, with just the way that it is and the feel that's needed under braking and those kind of things, really plays to the strengths of a road course driver. Is that something that you found, that you were finding that the braking, that you're making up a lot of time under brakes or anything like that? Because it tends to be a place where braking technique is very important.
Oh, for sure. Trail braking is massive at this track. You need to make sure that you're keeping the weight over the front of the wheels, but not slowing the car down too much. So, yeah, trail braking it's very similar to road course, and the track in itself is very similar to a road course. Really, it's just all left-handers, but
2 hairpins.
yeah, 2 hairpins exactly. So, yeah, no, they definitely correlate. Skills from one go to the other, and yeah, I find circle racing really, really, really fun, to be honest. It's a bit different because every corner you can't take the same. You need to sort of adjust your lines and adjust your braking points and adjust your throttle inputs based off of where the tires are. Whereas in sort of circuit racing, you can sort of repeat the same lap over lap over lap over lap, and you'll get the same result. But yeah, it definitely doesn't work in circles. So I'm really enjoying the whole tire management and everything around that.
Yeah, that's one thing that is quite different between the two, I think, is that the way that tyre fall off affects the way that these cars handle. Certainly with this older style of stock car, you can find that on a road course, they can lose 6 seconds a lap over the course of a stint, just in tyre wear. So definitely the keeping the tyres on it is something that really matters. We saw you have good runs at the front, runs to the back, work your way back through. A little bit going on, a little bit of racing there with your teammate. It looked like fun. Talk us through some of that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, first 100 laps were going all right. Then I decided not to pit with my teammate. Decided to keep track position. Turns out it was the wrong decision. But and that sort of started everything off from there, and I sort of fell back a little bit during the middle of the race. Eventually, actually got a drive-through penalty because I had too many incident points, and then had to make my way back from a lap down with about 40 laps to go. So, no, there was some really good racing throughout the field. To be honest, I know there were a lot of cautions and obviously a lot of incidents that happened during the race, but I think overall, that's just short track racing. That just happens, but yeah, everyone raced fairly. Yeah, I made a little bit of a mistake. I think at one caution, cutting off someone's nose. It's entirely my fault. Just inexperience, I guess. I thought I was clear of him. I didn't get the spotter alert, but yeah, no, it was good fun racing up the front, down the back, yeah, everywhere. I think I had a good battle with Norman Clark there for a little bit. In the first 30 laps, I think I was having a good battle with someone. I can't remember who it was on the outside, just going too wide through the whole through the whole lap for about 5 laps. That was good fun. So that was good, clean racing. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, well, we're certainly glad to see you here. We hope we get to see you a whole lot more. Chris Island, everyone, second place tonight. Did you want to do any of the thanks or shout outs, or you want to leave that to your illustrious teammate?
Oh, look, I'll just thank the boys, obviously the ANZCAR boys for setting it up, and you boys for broadcasting it. You do fabulous jobs, so I should be super proud of that. But yeah, I'll leave the rest of it up to the other teammate. He can take the glory.
All right, no problems at all. There he is, guys. Second place from the front to the back and all the way to the front again. Chris Island had a really good run tonight. So that leaves us with only one more. And we know he can pretty much interview himself, but we'll take a stab at it anyway. It's going to be P1. He's got it written on the side of his car twice in the number 11. That big old number 1, Ryan Jones. Winner tonight, mate. Talk us through that.
I would have liked a bit more green flag racing, but it's good to come out and get a W for the DPR boys.
So we had a bit of a chat with your teammate about some of the strategy that he employed during the race, and he was kind of up and down and then up again. And you seemed to spend most of your night up there at the front, including a stop for 2 tyres, which turned out to be pretty critical at the end. Maybe just run us through that decision, that line of thinking.
Well, I took 4 tyres, so
Did you?
I definitely took 4 tyres.
Okay, it looked like 2 to us.
I think I took 4 tyres. I can't check my tyre weight now. I put my tyres up pretty bad at the end. Yeah, I mean, early on, obviously qualified well. You always want to stay up front at Martinsville, stay out of the danger. I knew we were going to have to pit at some point. I think the race is a little bit longer than the Martinsville truck races normally are for ANZCAR. I think it's Thursday night, so we couldn't stay out the whole race without pitting, which was a change. So we came in that first time just to top it up and maybe go to the end. But when I was in behind Jason, I just felt like I was using up the right size a little bit, and there was maybe a little bit more tyre effect than there normally is at this place. So decided to pit sort of, 1:30, get the freshies on and see what happened, and got back to the lead in a couple laps. I got very lucky with cars moving out the way and just held on to the end.
Yeah, there were a couple of guys sort of, bumping off one another, and you were able to take advantage a couple of times, definitely. But we saw it later on in the race. Obviously, you sort of pitted with about that many laps to go. And then we saw Jason Martin, who'd been quick all night, and a couple of the others come down and take tyres a fair bit later than you had. Was that kind of playing in the back of your mind at all? Were you keeping track about where those guys were?
Pretty concerned every time that yellow flag came out. I built up a gap and yellow flag was like, come on. Yeah, I was definitely watching where Jason was. I thought I could maybe cover everyone else with the fresh tyres they had. I thought I was looking after my stuff. As soon as I got past Jason early on, I started looking after it. But I was concerned that once Jason got to second, he'd blow by me. So I was keeping an eye on that. Tom Williams was holding them off for a while. That was pretty good for me. I was loving that. Yellow came out, and then Ruben was up there, and I think we got a little bit lucky. I got very lucky that Chris ended up in third for that restart.
Yeah, we were kind of mentioning that. We were kind of hoping he might, throw a bit of a teammate dig at you, try and put one over the regular on one of his first goes. But yeah, he had a good night. You had a good night. I think just about everybody had a crack at you at one point or another. Managed to hold them all off for P1. So fantastic job. Your teammate has left you with the dubious honour of doing all the shout outs, mate. So look over at that big old list of sponsors and make sure you don't miss anyone.
Chris, that's all right. Yeah, just big shout out, Chris, for jumping in with me tonight. I put the call out to the DPR boys to come and have a race at Martinsville. No one was keen, apart from Chris. Stevie wasn't allowed to race, which is disappointing, but hopefully we get him back in a week or so. And you guys put on the broadcast. Always fun to go back and see what you said. I think I heard you say it was unfortunate that I'd gone through there at one point, Edward, so I'll have to see what that was all about.
That's not what I meant. I clarified that. That's not what I meant, and you know it.
Everyone at ANZCAR put on a good league, and yeah, our sponsors, simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoys, Spinmax Mechanical, and MP Designs. So yeah, big shout out to those guys.
All right, fantastic. Any questions for Ryan, Mark?
Well, I was just going to say, you've done such a great job here tonight, Ryan. We're back to the 1.5s next week. Looking forward to being able to get out and stretch the old engine out a little bit next week on the at Texas.
Yeah, I would do if I was here. And down on the island next weekend, so getting in the racing while I can, but can't wait to be back with some more in a couple of weeks' time.
I just got to jump in quickly, Ryan, and just let you know what your team leader, Mr. Neil Pearson, said. At one point in the race, he was saying, "Hopefully, Chris will move you out of the way."
Yeah, I moved Daiso for a win the other night, so I would have had it coming.
You got teammates like that. Who needs enemies, eh?
Exactly right. We keep it competitive. I might keep it more competitive than the rest of them.
Well done,
that
mate.
voice of yours seems to come back all right there, Carl. Oh, yeah. There goes the cough now. Yeah, nah. Yeah, always comes back when he needs it, and now he's gone on mute conveniently. Anyway, congratulations, Ryan. Excellent job. First place tonight. We'll see you back soon. And we will see all of you guys back soon as well. We're going to be back next week with back at Texas. So that's going to be a 1.5 mile, very different looking race to tonight. Very different style of racing to tonight. So it's going to be one of the beauties of NASCAR style racing is you get all of these different types of tracks that provides all this different types of racing all wrapped up in one championship. So it's going to be very, very cool to go back to the Texas Motor Speedway next week. So we'll see if Carl's actually better by then. And if he's not, you might be stuck with me again. So we'll see how that turns out.
And don't forget our racing on Monday nights too. If people want to come out and have some fun, back in the 87s, isn't it, Ed, at the moment? Monday? Gen 6s.
Running Monday. Yeah, that's right.
Just head over to www.ANZCAR.com, get your application in and come have some fun in the old Gen 6. I actually forgot that it was on last Monday, so I will definitely be there this Monday because looking forward to the Gen 6.
Yeah, the Gen 6, the Monday series, is just a casual series for anyone to sort of jump into, not broadcast or anything like that. We want to run a wide variety of cars, little short 6-week seasons to give everybody a chance to sort of try everything across the course of the year. So, they're just more social events, while as, the Thursday nights and our Sunday crown jewels and things when they're on are more serious type of thing. But that is our fun social racing all happens on Monday night, wide variety of cars, and it's been really fun so far. So I'm hoping to get back into it myself this Monday as well.
Yeah, definitely a good series. Good to come test the waters. But I'm definitely looking forward to next week at Texas, Ed. Let's see what happens there.
Yeah, it'll be a new type of race over the short track races we've had for the last couple of weeks. But until then, thanks to Mark for joining us. Thanks to Carl for dragging himself out of his hospital bed and clicking away on the cameras. Thanks to all the drivers that came out tonight. Most of all, thanks to everybody who enjoyed the race, watched the race, and certainly for all the great comments we got during the broadcast itself. So until next week, ta-ta.